Now, as I was watching the concluding episodes of Season 2, it occurred to me that TLC has taken the steps of trying to vilify the sister wives and their situations with Cody, as far as the marriage and normalizing polygamy. Now, in these last 2 episodes, what we see is an increased pressure on the family from the district attorney and local police departments, between the police and the sheriff. Now, what's happening is basically they're driving up and down the street, they're honking their horns. Every time they see the cops, they start to get nervous because they're afraid that the police are actually paying attention to them. It got so bad that the family decided that they were actually going to move from their home in Lehigh to Las Vegas. Now, when this happened, it was a big brouhaha, and everybody kind of took the position that we're being victimized and the system is trying to penalize us for just wanting to express our love. And there is a point where we all have to take a step back and just realize what it is we're actually talking about. What we're talking about is a family, even though popularized and to some degree normalized because of their appearance on TLC, is actually committing a crime, and was committing a crime openly in Utah, knowing the severity of the punishment that they could face. This is the equivalent of guys who get on Facebook and have a stack of illegal substances and a stack of money fanned out, and they want to take pictures of themselves and talk about how they pushing on the block. You don't get on TV and admit. This is called self-snitching, and we criticize all the time young people who do this on social media. But this family is basically doing the same thing. There's also a point where the kids are coming out saying that it's not fair and all they want to do is love one another, and how are they going to come down on them? And even Maddie, Janelle, and Cody's daughter had this to say, where she was saying that, you know, if a guy has a bunch of mistresses and a bunch of outside kids, then it's you demand. But if a guy wants to take care of his family, then all of a sudden he's a bad guy. And I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that on the surface, but if you look deeper into the situation, what you realize is the reason why there is such a push for illegality when it comes to polygamy is basically because of what happened in later episodes in the seasons. What we see is everybody who is in these situations, as far as polygamy is concerned, are not set up or situated similarly to Meri, Christine, or Janelle. When a lot of these women leave the families because of personal reasons, because of abuse, or because of different varying reasons, when they leave the family, they are shunned from their community, they are shut out from resources, and they are cut off financially. And essentially, because the men typically maintain and keep all the finances, these women find themselves and their children in a horrible situation, which thereby encourages and enforces for them to have to stay in these situations. Part of the thing that I wanted to talk about with regard to this video is just a difference in perspective. We've been trained through years of cinematography and movie-going, television shows, television series, and TV programming to always kind of side with the person whose perspective or point of view we're looking at. For instance, there are 3 shows that I'll call out right off the rip. Sons of Anarchy with Jax Teller, who is a maniac sociopath, made all kinds of horrible decisions. Breaking Bad with Mr. Walter White, or as he's known during the show, Heisenberger. Dexter, the serial killer, who is basically working for the cops. But hey, he's a good serial killer because he only kills bad guys. But in each one of these cases, we as the audience find ourselves rooting for these very horrible people. Even in like ancient lore, we have history of teaching our kids to root for what were historically monsters and creatures of the night. For instance, in the Twilight Saga, you have a werewolf and a vampire. The vampire, in the first meeting he had with the young lady that he was talking to, tells her that I'm a killer. I've been killed. Everything about me is designed so I can kill people like you. I can outrun you. I'm stronger than you. My looks are designed to entice you and bring you in, so I don't have to do none of this stuff that I'm doing with you. And it's all my power not to go ahead and drain you dry. but I love you anyway. And her love was so powerful and strong that she felt like she was an old woman at 18. My 18th birthday's coming up and I'm going to be an old woman. This dude's like 300 years old, but whatever. This is how we kind of train ourselves. So the only thing I would say with regard to how we view the sister wives, we have to look at it through the lens of, even though I can sympathize with them and their situations, I can sympathize with them feeling like they're being targeted and pushed to the outskirts of society, there is a part of me that has to recognize that what they're doing is illegal. You're breaking the law. Not only are you breaking the law, but you're flouting the fact that you are breaking the law in front of the district attorney and the law enforcement of your area. You guys aren't coming after polygamists outright. There's not an open world polygamy. When you talk about Leon, whose dead name was Mariah, Cody, and Meri's child, when Leon was going to school, they were going to a school that was Mormon-based, that they had polygamous families and polygamous kids attending that school. If the cops were serious about busting them, they would show up to the school and just start picking up people at the pickup line. That's what they would do. But they didn't do that. The only reason why the police were looking at you and the DA was looking at you is because you're on TV and you're making it obvious that they aren't enforcing the laws. Now, when it came to them leaving, there was a whole point where they started acting like, oh, we got to get out of town, because they're coming down on us for the polygamy. The truth of the matter is the LDS church and the mainstream Mormons don't even recognize polygamy anymore. So it's not the fact that they're coming down on Mormons. They're just coming down on you guys, the sect that you're a part of. And even that, like the Apostolic United Brethren, like that sounds like a gang. Any group that has brethren in it is just like you're starting off wrong. There's no group that's like, yeah, we're the United Brethren of, the Boy Scouts. Like, no, there's no positive in that. Not to mention, when they were running out of town, all of a sudden, all their cars start catching flats. Like, these are the most unprepared criminals I've ever seen. Like, how are you an outlaw when you're like, oh, we're going to do our big getaway? And you've been planning this big getaway apparently for a while because you told the kids 3 days out. But you said in that confrontation or that meeting you had with the kids that you had been planning this for at least a month or two, a couple months. And nobody said, hey, maybe we should check the tires. But nope. Not this group. They wanted to ride out of town on some baloney skins. They should change their name from the AUB Brethren to the baloney skin bandits because they all ran out of there. Every car they had caught a flat. Cody trying to change tires and mismatch tires and putting on the wrong tires and breaking off bolts. It's just the dumbest thing ever. I like to think that this is just something that the show put into place. TLC put this into place as a storyline because it just doesn't make sense, to be honest with you. Because if the police are actually trying to come and get you and they're actually going to pursue criminal charges against you, you don't have to worry about them driving up and down the street. Because what the DA is going to do is they're going to go to the judge's office. They're going to say, here's our evidence. Here's our probable cause. We would like arrest warrants. They're going to get arrest warrants sworn out. And at that point, once the arrest warrants are sworn out, it doesn't matter where you are. You can get locked up in Lehigh, Utah, or you can get locked up in Las Vegas. Now, here's another secret. If you're going to run, if you're going to go on the lam, as they say, don't go somewhere where the cops would love to go. Because at that point, as soon as you get arrested in Las Vegas, there's going to be a line of cops who's like, I'll go get them. I'll definitely go get them. You mean I get to travel to Las Vegas, get my hotel, my meals paid for, maybe a little spending money, and I get paid to do it? Yeah, I'll do that. Are you nuts? Go somewhere where nobody wants to go. Go to like some podunk town where there's nothing but one traffic light. The cops don't want to go there. They might leave you alone. Let him sit there. He's suffering enough. But the way they did it was just ridiculous. So the fact that they had an attorney by the end of season 1, If the police know that you have an attorney and it's not a violent crime, the fact that you have kids and you have to register those kids into school, or you're committing other crimes, and most likely you're going to do that once you arrive, you're easy to find. So there's no way that they're going to risk doing a whole breach of your house. What they're going to do is they're going to contact your attorney. Your attorney's going to arrange a time when you can surrender yourself. You'll go in, surrender yourself. You'll get your preliminary arraignment probably that same day, and you'll be out on bond or bail before anything happens. And that's the way it works. What sounds more probable to me is the DA contacted the Brown family attorney and told them that they had to get out of town by a certain date, or they would be forced to press charges against them. Why? Because even though the Brown family committed a crime, they were well liked and well received. And this could be a political nightmare. But the way they did it is like they were trying to run or evade from the law. And that's just not how it works. Like, just because you get out of town before they actually went down to the judge, hell, they could have been living in Las Vegas, and depending on their statute of limitations, they could have went to the judge at any time. Because you committed the crime in Utah. It doesn't matter that you're not living in Utah anymore. I can't go rob a bank in California and then run to New York and say, hey guys, you can't do nothing about it because I moved off the West Coast and now I'm on the East Side, player. I'm going to jail. That's what's going to happen. And if you move somewhere cool, you're just going to have a line of cops who want to go there and get me. They try to make these guys victims, but the truth of the matter is you're not victims. If you wanted to do it from the perspective of we are trying to do some kind of social disobedience to prove how unfair and how unjust these laws are, then you have to take the consequences. That's part of it. If you want to protest, there's a possibility that you might get arrested. That's just the way it works. That's part of how the protest works. So if you're going to say you're going to come out and try to show people how polygamy works, you know it's a crime. If you do the crime, you got to do the time. And that's just the nature of things. But what I would hesitate to say is that, again, we can't look at this and think that this is normalized. And that's part of the problem that they have. And that's one of the challenges that the DA has. Because the people who are doing the wrong thing will try to fall under the umbrella of the normalization portrayal that the sister wives are trying to put out. So the guys who are doing the whole thing, because they had a whole scandal in the AUB, and I really can't talk about it on YouTube, or they'll demonetize and maybe take my channel. But they had a whole scandal in the AUB with kids and this whole marriage thing and all this other stuff. So when you normalize one, you're actually normalizing them all. Much like I said with the whole Breaking Bad thing and the meth dealing and all that, all of a sudden it's, oh, meth ain't that bad. I mean, Walter White just wanted to take care of his family. No, it's terrible, because what they don't show is the effects of what he did. So when he does his dealing and he has that big stack of cash in a storage unit and he had pallets and pallets of money, those are all that you can count those dollars by how many lives this man has ruined, how many families he's destroyed. So as we sit here and we, put these people on pedestals, we also have to remember that there is a terrible cost that goes along with many of these types of engagements. And because it's illegal, a lot of the people who are involved in these situations don't have the protections that normal people have. If you are a wife and your husband mistreats you, or vice versa, your husband and your wife mistreat you, there are certain things you can do to be made whole. You don't have to walk out of that relationship with nothing. You don't have to walk out of that situation with no care or resources. But if you're in an illegal situation like polygamy, and you're involved with that as an adult, and you enter it as an adult, and you're willingly going along with it, you're not a victim of the system. You're a co-conspirator, basically. And it's very difficult at that point for you to be awarded anything. Like, I like the idea that Christine or Janelle or Meri will be able to go back and sue Cody for alimony or get some kind of support. But the truth of the matter is, in every case like this, you have zero chance of getting any kind of alimony or palimony because you're not his wife. His wife is Robin. Robin Sullivan or Robin Jessup or whatever her name is his wife. Robin Brown is his wife. Everybody else, Meri basically eliminated any possibility she could get anything because you signed a divorce decree. So anything you would have gotten from Cody would have came out of that divorce decree. Christine and Janelle have never legally been married to Cody. And they've made out because of the show. But without the show, their situations would be completely different. And we can't ignore that. That's my take. I'm James. This has been my take on reality. And I'm out.